tātai arorangi, or Māori astronomy, really began back in the Pacific, 700 or 800 years ago. It was our celestial knowledge which enabled us to travel here on large waka hourua. Being able to travel across utilising the stars obviously means that we had an extensive amount of star knowledge prior to arriving to Aotearoa. When we arrived here, we then modified our knowledge of the stars to fit our local environment.
The knowledge is very clear with regard to how our people came to be here, and that it wasn't by mistake, and it was through a deep understanding of the stars and the sun and the moon and the weather and the birds, all of those things that they were able to harness to get from one place to the next without necessarily knowing where that next place was. For us at Taumatu and Wairewa, Ngaitahu Hapu, we are inherently eeling fishing villages, so we spend a lot of time at night out gathering our kai, and through that the importance of the moon, the time of the year when we gather the tuna, which we call the hinapodi, the time of the dark nights, through to the timing of the sky and constellations that guide us in those mahinga kai activities. So when you're gathering tuna on the banks of the river or in the gravels of Kaitorete with your tamariki and your kaumātua, there's an exchange of that knowledge about the stars constantly moving overhead.
For Māori, a lot of our knowledge is passed on through word of mouth, but there's lots of different forms for that. All sorts of information is carried in things like our pūrākau, our stories, our waiata, our songs, our whakatauki. They all carry messages, knowledge, history, information, data. I'd like to use the example of whānui. Okay, whānui is a star called Vega. Whānui was the father of the kumara, and his wife and him had these kumara children, and his brother Rongo Maui wanted to bring the kumara to earth. And so he went up there and he asked for the kumara. Whānui said, no, you can't have that. You're not allowed to take my children. And Rongo Maui stole the children and brought them down to earth. Whānui was very angry with the fact that his children were taken, and he sent down his other children, which were like caterpillars and stuff, and they were sent down to earth to destroy the crops of the kumara so that they couldn't use them. There's lots of different messages in there. There's messages around the wrongdoing of stealing things, but also about the relationship between kumara and the star Vega or Whānui itself. And when that star rises, it indicates a time of the year around about March, which is when you have some practice associated with the kumara.